In the last lesson, we turned "look into this company" into a complete requirement. That requirement is much better, but it still cannot be pasted into a search box. Think of a PIR as the high-priority question we must answer. Think of an EEI as the smaller fact, indicator, or event we must obtain to answer it. The PIR tells us what matters first. The EEI tells us what to collect. By the end of this lesson, one partnership risk question will become a task table. Another analyst should be able to pick it up and know what to check first, where to check, and what evidence counts as complete. Could delivery risk rise during the next 6 months? Is clearer than look into the company, but a search engine still cannot answer it directly. An analyst needs an order. Should we confirm the contracting entity first, or begin with lawsuits, hiring, customers, and executives? A team also needs common evidence standards and status labels. Otherwise, one person checks the entity, another scrolls through news, and the findings never connect. PIR and EEI translate the decision-maker's language of risk into the collector's language of concrete tasks. The important word in PIR is not the abbreviation, it is priority. Every investigation produces interesting questions. What did the founder do before? Has the company received bad press? When was the website registered? Interesting does not always mean decision relevant. A PIR keeps the high-level questions whose answers might lead us to continue, pause, add protection, or walk away. Keep the list short. 3 to 5 PIRs are usually enough for a small project. If every question receives the highest priority, there is no priority at all. Use 4 considerations to rank PIRs. How much would the answer affect the decision? Would delay remove an opportunity to act? Can public sources realistically provide evidence? And which error costs more here? Missing a real risk or raising a false alarm? If the contracting entity is unclear, the agreement may be signed with the wrong company. That question has high impact and is relatively answerable, so it belongs near the top. Priorities are not permanent. If a new penalty appears to affect the core business, the related PIR moves upward. An EEI is information we must verify to answer a PIR. It is not a source list, such as check the registry, search news, search social media. Does the proposed contracting entity match the advertised brand? And did this entity receive a major administrative penalty in the last 2 years? Are EEIs. Evidence can answer them, and each answer can support, weaken, or limit a higher-level judgment. Every EEI also needs a subject, time, geography, and status. If the answer cannot be found, keep the gap and the paths already attempted. One EEI should usually ask one thing. Does this company have operating and management problems? Mixes hiring, orders, customers, cash flow, and executive change. Split it into questions such as, has public hiring remained below the historical baseline for 12 months? Did the entity receive a major penalty in the last 2 years? And are executive changes concentrated in one business line? Now, each item can be marked answered, partially answered, or unanswered. Finding one useful document no longer creates the illusion that the entire risk question is solved. Can we partner with this company? Can begin with 3 PIRs. First, are the entity and control relationships clear? Second, are delivery and operating risks rising over the next 6 months? Third, is there any legal or compliance risk beyond the organization's tolerance? The 3 questions need different evidence and may end with different confidence levels. Entity identity could be confirmed, delivery risk could remain a moderate confidence judgment, and compliance risk could still be inconclusive. The final product does not need to force them into one score. Now break each PIR down. Under the entity PIR, examine the controlling party, contracting entity, and related companies. Under delivery risk, examine hiring, orders, customers, delays, and management. Under compliance, examine lawsuits, penalties, enforcement, and license status. Check for disguised duplication. Any risk, any negative information, and any problem are different phrases for the same vague task.
Each key risk should also have a normal indicator or counter indicator, so the tree does not collect only deterioration signals.
Once the EEI is clear, choosing sources becomes much easier. Entity relationships lead first to registries, official websites, filings, and contract information. Legal events lead to courts, regulators, and official penalty records. Operating changes can use financial reports, announcements, hiring records, and project information. Customer delivery may use customer notices, procurement results, and independent reporting. Social content is excellent for discovering a lead. A detailed post does not automatically replace an original record. The role of the source must match the EEI. Defy the completion threshold before searching. Entity confirmation normally needs a unique identifier and an authoritative source. A major penalty claim should reach the original decision and confirm the legal entity. A trend judgment needs a time series rather than 1 month. A no-record result should say which platform, period, and name variants were checked. If the threshold is not met, keep the status as partially answered or unanswered. An honest status is more useful than an overconfident sentence written to fill the table. EEIs have dependencies. If the entity is not confirmed, lawsuits and penalties may attach to the wrong company. If the historical baseline is missing, a hiring decline may not be abnormal. If the original event is not confirmed, there is no reason to speculate about relationships and motives. Investigate the tasks that unlock later work first. High impact, strong dependency, and relatively low cost often deserve priority. Mark prerequisites and blocked status so the team understands why a task cannot proceed. A good investigation knows when to stop as well as when to start. Stop expanding an EEI when original evidence is sufficient for the current judgment. New sources only repeat old material or the search cost exceeds the chance of changing the decision. If crucial material is not publicly available, convert it into an information gap instead of searching the same words for another 3 hours. Reopen the EEI when new evidence overturns an assumption. Stopping is not giving up. It protects resources for questions that matter more. An unanswered EEI still needs a usable result. State whether the missing item is an original fact, independent corroboration, or time series data. Record the platforms, queries, and name variants already checked. Explain whether the gap could reverse the conclusion, lower confidence, or affect only a detail. Then recommend an alternative source, monitoring plan, or requirement change. Most importantly, return the gap to the PIR. A limitation in the high-level judgment should trace back to the exact unanswered item below it. Now connect the whole case. The PIR is: does delivery risk over the next 6 months meet the threshold for pausing the contract? 3 EEIs follow. Are the contracting entity and control relationship confirmed? Does the hiring decline significantly depart from the 12-month baseline? Are lawsuit, executive, and customer signals worsening together? Today we check the entity and baseline first because they unlock later judgments. Financial and customer data are unavailable, so they become key gaps. A broad management question has become a clear task list for today. A handoff-ready PIR-EEI table should not require another analyst to ask you to explain it again. At the top, record a PIR ID, decision impact, and priority. Each EEI row contains a question, subject, time, geography, priority and backup sources, query method, evidence threshold, status, owner, and deadline. Finish with the gap's effect on judgment, the next step, and the condition for reopening the item. The task, evidence, and conclusion now connect in one place. Choose a company verification, screenshot verification, or location verification task. Write one PIR that directly affects a decision. Break it into 5 single verifiable non-duplicative EEIs. For every item, add likely sources, evidence threshold, current status, and stop condition. In the next lesson, we place those EEIs into a formal collection plan. The problem is not only what to investigate, but which source comes first, how much time to spend, what backup path to use, and how to record both successful and unsuccessful searches.